Welcome to The Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for The Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Publishing a book is a little different today than it was a few years ago. Author Josie Blaine is in studio.
Hi.
And to talk about that process and to announce her latest book, Can You Train Your Brain? I think I'm beyond that, actually. Tiff Thompson with GammaJam.com will be chatting about your brain. Later in the show, we'll be talking to eventreviews.com about how you can post your opinions on events, and also a couple of websites to get geeky stuff. GeekyGet.com and iCarryAlls.com, a couple of the website reviews we're doing today. And, of course, Ken Sanders with the Volt Report will be joining us later in all the news about tech. At the control panel, producer extraordinaire, Jim Walsh.
Hi.
Where's the geezer at today?
He's around here somewhere. He's trying to deal with the heat.
Okay.
You know.
He probably deals not so well with the heat, I'm guessing.
He doesn't deal well with the heat at all.
Yeah.
I think we all decided last winter when it was 60 below that the first person who complained about the heat this summer would get slapped.
That could be, yeah.
So later when we find the geezer, he will be getting slapped by Josie, I think. Yeah. Well, we're going to get right into it. Josie, it's a pleasure having you on the Tech Ranch today.
Thank you very much. I'm a little amused that I would be on a show called Tech Ranch.
Well, it's because you're publishing books. That's why I thought it'd be great to have you. I get a lot of questions all the time about, the process, because everybody's got a book in their head. They all claim this, how do you go about that process? And you've been through this a little bit now. So
Well, I think we all have a story.
I go with the book.
You go with the book?
Yes. I don't want
your story?
Well, you don't
we
want
all
to get
have
into
a
that
story.
right now. But yeah, I guess you're right. A book is a series of short books. But a book is a series of short stories. I'll get this right. It's Monday and my brain is not working well, which is why we have Tiff Thompson on the phone. Tiff, how you doing today?
Hey.
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great as well. Thanks for being on the Tech Ranch. Tiff, you're the founder of GammaJam.com. Tell us a little bit about GammaJam.
So this is neurotherapy. Essentially, it's using brain entrainment to heal your problems, to heal your brain. So essentially, it's using something called EEG biofeedback, which is using the brain waves to understand first what's going on, and then developing protocols to train the brain to heal itself.
Okay. And do you go through a series of exercises to train your brain at your website? How does that process work?
Yeah, on my website, there's a pretty quick video that describes it well. And the basics are, you start out with a brain map. It's called a quantitative EEG. And essentially what that does is it breaks down a lot of different elements of what your EEG shows, what your brain waves, those black squiggles on the white screen, what that means. And then from that, you basically derive what's aberrant, what's off, and essentially make a protocol that's a brain-computer interface that works with the brain in terms of giving you a reward, like feedback, so that the brain learns via something called operant conditioning, similar to classical conditioning, how to change itself.
Now, if you offered me cheese, I would change my habits, but I'm not sure about the awards for my brain.
Well, it's unconscious, so it's not something that you actually have a conscious awareness of. People will get hooked up, and essentially they'll either have 20 electrodes on their head in terms of a cap or a few electrodes, and it's not something that you can think your way through or even really will your way through. It's just an unconscious process, and so the reward is often advancing in a video game, so you're playing a video game with your brain, or watching a movie and having that movie get big and bright with your brain, and it learns over time that this is the behavior that receives a reward, and so you actually form new synaptic pathways, new dendritic growth, new ways of behaving as a consequence of changing your brain.
Now, I know this isn't as technical a question, but I love your website name. How did you come up with GammaJam?
So it's a little bit provocative, the name, and I was trying to think of what to call this business, this little clinic that I was starting up, and I was on the phone with my friend Rob, who's just a ham. And we were just running through a bunch of things, gamma synchrony, gamma clinic, and he came up with gamma jam, and we laughed for about 30 minutes straight. And I said, buy the domain name, like just buy the domain name, buy gammajam.com. And it was like the ball rolled, you know, my lawyer suddenly got in touch with me, and everything happened so quickly that it just stuck. And so here I am.
I think it's fabulous. And, you know, it's one of those domain names that I don't even have to tell people how to spell it because it's just automatic. I'm guessing you're thinking the same thing, Josie.
Oh, it's fascinating.
So, yeah, I think it's fabulous as well. So, anyway, we really appreciate you being on the show, Tiff. And, again, just, I suppose, spell it out for those who may not know what we're talking about for your website.
Me?
Yep.
Yeah, Gamma Jam. It's GAMMAJAM.
So,
GAMMAJAM.
Put you on a spot like that, and you can't spit it out. So, yeah, gammajam.com. Tiff, we really appreciate you being on the show today. And if you want to exercise your brain, go check out gammajam.com. Thanks, Tiff.
Right on. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Right, take care. All right, Josie, we're going to go right back to you now, speaking of exercising your brain. So how many books have you written so far?
Well, my first book was released last fall. That's
Okay.
Something About Sophia.
Okay.
It is an historical fiction about my great-great-grandmother who was a pioneer to North Dakota in the 1880s. My great-greats helped settle New Salem.
Really?
Yes,
That's cool.
that
Okay.
big cow out there on the interstate
Sure.
is my family legacy.
Sure. Woo! That's pretty
You
cool.
know it. Hey, my grandma's been telling me since I was a toddler that that's my cow.
And, of course, we're talking about New Salem, North Dakota. For those of you who are listening across the country, that's about, 25 miles to the west of Bismarck, North
Right.
Dakota. So,
the world's largest Holstein cow. And let me tell you, that is a lot of work to get up there and feed that cow and do some milking.
I was going to say, yeah. I think they had the Cowtown Hoedown over the weekend, if I remember right.
Sure did.
So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So you have been in the process of writing books for a few years now.
Right.
And how do you think technology plays in that role? First of all, let's talk about how you write your book,
Well-
compared to maybe how you would have done that 20 years ago.
Well, I work full time, so I have to write the book after work.
Okay.
But when you're a writer, you're always thinking about writing.
Okay.
And when I got home from work, a few years ago, I could sit for maybe 10 minutes and write. And now I could sit all day long and tap out thousands of words.
Okay. So you're using some type of word processor?
Yeah, I have a MacBook.
Okay. So do you have anything that maybe you take some notes with during the day? Are you using your phone maybe?
Sticky notes
Okay.
and on my iPhone. And this weekend actually is my worldwide virtual book release because we're releasing Nowhere Everywhere on Kindle.
Yeah, and that's exciting. That really is exciting. So
I have friends around the world who are stationed in the Army in Germany and Korea, and I thought, well, let's do a virtual release on Kindle
Yep.
of this next book.
Yep. So you've actually announced this on Facebook, and people can subscribe to the virtual release of this book, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
It's worldwide, baby.
All right. Well, after the break, everybody, we will continue our conversation with Josie, as well as looking through all my notes here. I think Christopher Vandell will be joining us as well. So come on back, everybody.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Follow the Guru of Geek at facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or thetechranch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all the people who listen to us across the country, around the world, on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. On the Blueberry Network. We're also now on TuneIn, as well as our own app, Radio Pup. So you can catch us all over the place. And in studio, Josie Blaine. Josie just is releasing her second book called
Nowhere Everywhere.
and is having a virtual
It's a virtual worldwide book release.
Yes,
This Saturday.
Okay, very cool. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. On the phone with us right now, Christopher Vandell. Christopher is an investor and entrepreneur who has founded, grown, and managed multinational firms. He's also an avid mountaineer, polar explorer, and multi-Ironman triathlon. I think that's a whole nother show, Christopher.
Thanks, Marl. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. And you're here about eventreviews.com, and I find this absolutely fascinating. I actually have put on, hundreds of events over the course of my lifetime, and I go to a lot of events as well. And I think your service actually is something that people need to use. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it and what you expect from it in the future?
Sure. So thanks for having me today. The idea really came to me after I was planning a weekend of activities, and often you find conflicting events at either the same timeline or about the same time. And it was very hard for me to find any good feedback on the events. And that's really where it came to me. It's like, why don't we have a platform where you can compare events to one another in order for you to make a better decision as to which one you would go to?
Yeah, and I agree. I look at, I guess when I book a hotel, for example, I'm always looking at the reviews for hotels. Right. And,
exactly.
I think that having reviews for events is also really good. So looking at your site, just like that, my notes disappear on me. There we go. I'm having technical issues today for whatever reason.
You of all people.
It's if we're gonna have a tech issue, it should be on the Tech Ranch, the radio show, right when we're on the air.
During the show.
That's right. I think last week we were dealing with a hard drive failure, and Jim and I seemed to get through that okay too. It was okay, but
it's an argument for paper.
It is an argument for paper, which is why.
You printed it out.
I did. I have learned after many shows. Yeah, Christopher, like you really want to hear about this right now, but
Sorry,
anyway,
Christopher.
That's okay.
So anyway, you're actually using eventreviews.com and using it so that people are able to connect to it socially. So tell us a little bit why you did that.
Yeah, so we're all familiar with several review sites out there, whether it's for restaurants or other products and so forth. And one of the major things we noticed was that the credibility of the reviewer wasn't really there when it was not connected to a real person. And so we believe that when you are transparent and you create a transparent community, connecting that review to an actual person was important. We also seen that the credibility of the reviews increased significantly, and we've noticed that more people trusted the review when they could connect it to an actual person.
Sure. And again, everybody, we're talking to Christopher Vandell. He is the founder of eventreviews.com. And so to go check it out, eventreviews.com. If you've been to an event recently and you want to review it. Jim's got a question the way it looks. Oh. He just moseyed up to the mic, and I thought he was going to say something there for a second. All right, so Christopher, statistics show the benefits for reviewers, but you also advocate benefits for event organizations and venue owners. So how does Event Reviews help those businesses?
Yeah, so often what we see is when you speak to an event organizer or a venue and you ask them, how do your customers feel about your event or your venue? Often I get a blank stare and realize that many people just don't have a way to communicate back to the event organizer or the venue and to share the experience with them other than maybe on a social media platform. And so we thought it would be important to not only create one place for feedback on that event or venue, as well as create accountability for the venue owner or the event organizer in order to improve his event and get real socially connected feedback.
Because most events are not one-off type of events. Most of them are held, occasionally, at the very least, probably annually. So this offers the opportunity for both the event organizer as well as people attending the event a place to go. And I know from an event organizer's standpoint that any, even if it was criticism, on the event review, that would give me the opportunity to improve the event, and that's what you're always after anyway. So
exactly, yeah.
So anyway, okay. So how do we find you again, Christopher?
You can find us at eventreviews.com.
And a free thing that a person can do?
You could look up reviews in your neighborhood. This morning I logged in and looked on to Mandan, and there's quite a bit of benefit 5Ks and even golf tournaments. So you can leave your reviews right there.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Well, Christopher, we really appreciate having you on the show. And again, everybody go to eventreviews.com and post a review about a recent event. All right. Thanks, Christopher.
Thanks so much.
You bet. So going back to Josie now, it's kind of a yo-yo type of thing going on here today, but really thought since you had your virtual book event this Saturday, I just thought it was important to have you on today, even though we have a lot of other stuff going on in the show.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
So tell us about how you came up with this idea for the virtual book event.
Well, I'm releasing Nowhere Everywhere on Kindle first,
Okay.
because the paperback copies are on order.
Okay.
And I thought, why not create a Facebook event? I've got friends stationed in the Army and Air Force around the world, and I want them to be able to participate. And people ask me for a Kindle copy of something about Sophia all the time, and that got out a little late after it was released last fall. So since we're doing this one first, why not make it an event?
Sure.
And why not create it for everybody around the world? Because my main character, Gertie, takes a trip. And I'm going to let my friends just sort of check in and make it happen.
So on your first book, you came out with the copy of the book first and then came out on Kindle later. Do you find a lot of people buy both?
People really do, because a lot of people are reading on their devices nowadays. And actually, it was Paul Newt over at the Bismarck Downtown Arts Cooperative over at BDAC. He said, we could sit out here outside and we could all check in on our iPhones and iPads, and everybody could go through the displays and the, art exhibits, and that's how we could do your book launch. And I thought, that's brilliant.
Sure.
So I contacted my friends in Germany, and that's what we're doing.
Okay.
We're having a virtual worldwide book launch.
So when they do, does your book actually come out on Saturday on Kindle? Is that the whole plan? Okay. So anybody who, can they go in and pre-order right now, or do they have to wait till Saturday?
You got to wait till the link
that's
goes
cool.
live.
That's cool. Okay.
It's a big deal.
Okay. So what time on Saturday does this start?
10 o'clock.
All right. And
then we're going to be down at the BDAC.
Okay.
Downtown Bismarck.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to make some treats, but you can check in from anywhere in the world.
How are you going to feed treats to people around the world?
I haven't
Just
figured
think about that.
yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
A virtual treat
You know
of some
what
kind.
I actually did, because I'm an Army kid, right? So I lived in Texas for a while before I came home to North Dakota, because I'm from here. I'm from Washburn, and my dad's been in the North Dakota Guard forever. And then I went to San Antonio, and I came back home to North Dakota. But my dear friends who live in San Antonio have this great coffee house. So I posted their website, and they have great coffee. You can order coffee from San Antonio.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, you could have the virtual event going on in coffee shops across the country.
I know,
So
across
there
the
you go.
world.
There you go. Yeah, that's actually a cool idea.
The main character, Gertie, goes to coffee shops and tea houses around the world.
There you go. There you go.
I know.
Very cool. So, getting it on Kindle.
Yeah.
So, how is that process? After you have the book ready to go, is there a submission process?
Oh, you know what? That was a little tricky, because I went through Amazon on CreateSpace. And if you've read one of these, sometimes you can tell that the characters are a little funny. And there might be an asterisk or an extra letter in some of the words, and your mind just kind of is trained to fix those words. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So I went through and fixed all the words and trying to make it as perfect as possible, and a good friend helped me with that. But it should be ready to go.
Okay.
Okay?
So you go through the process, you submit it,
Yes.
and you set your price and
Yes.
all that good stuff. And Amazon, do they coach you a little bit through the process?
No, but they're pretty streamlined.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did it take, do you think, from the start of the process to create the online presence for the book? After you've written the book, is it an hour process? Is it a day process?
I would say it's not an hour or a day. If you're really a perfectionist, it's a couple of months maybe, because like I said, I have a day job too.
Okay. So the process, now I'm not talking about the actual writing the book now. I'm just talking about, when you submit it to Amazon.
Oh, that's a couple of days.
Okay, so it does take a little bit of time
Yeah.
to get that through.
Yeah.
So, okay, very good. After the break, everybody, we will continue our conversation with Josie. I'm going to really figure out how this Amazon thing works with her. And we also have a couple of websites that we'll be reviewing as well. So coming back.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody. Josie Blaine, author extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire.
Yes. Well, you get that extraordinaire title now after 2 books.
After 2 books.
Imagine what'll happen after you have your 5th or 6th. So we've been talking a little bit about the process of submitting a book to Amazon and getting it on Kindle. Now, what about Barnes & Noble?
Barnes & Noble. Okay.
I have a
Now,
book.
they have a Nook.
You have a
Yes.
Nook?
Yes.
All right. Barnes & Noble likes to order from the people that print the books.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a little different process.
It's a little different
Okay.
process, but they did order something about Sophia.
Okay. Cool.
They like if you have an ISBN number, and
Okay.
that worked out real well.
So once you have it on Amazon, if Barnes likes what you
Yes.
have and they like the sales record and that type of thing, they'll bring it over to their platform as well.
Yes.
So
And BarnesandNoble.com, people have ordered it around the country. Barnes & Noble here in Bismarck reordered copies of Something About Sophia several times. I was so grateful.
that's fantastic.
Yes, I was overwhelmed with response to Something About Sophia.
So that's very,
I'm-
very cool.
Yeah, I'm very blessed in that regard.
So do you have another book that you're working on?
After Nowhere
Yes.
Everywhere? Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Just wanted, so, okay.
I have several more.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the event.
The event this
Yes.
Saturday?
Yes. So how do people go to your event virtually?
Okay. There is a public event created on Facebook. I have a page, Josie Blaine Media,
On Facebook.
on Facebook.
So if you go to facebook.com/Josie Blaine Media, and
JosieBlaine.
you forgot the Blaine part in there.
I forgot the Thanks.
I'll post it on the Tech Ranch.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a great idea.
So-
JosieBlaine Media.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. And I have a public event.
Okay.
Check in at the virtual worldwide book world.
So is there a way that you can digitally sign these copies too, or is there some special?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
But that'll be neat in the future.
I was just thinking about that. If a person could maybe have a page where you could wait until after somebody orders it, then you could just type in, and then have some type of digital signature that you throw on there.
That would be cool. But, my paperback copies of Nowhere Everywhere
Yep.
are on order. And that takes a couple days through Amazon
Okay.
to get them printed.
Okay.
So
So once those come in, of course, you'll be able
Right.
to sign those and send
Right.
those off as well.
mhm,
So, okay.
people can order them from me.
Very cool. So facebook.com/Josie Blaine Media this Saturday at 10. And it runs till,
Right. Forever.
okay. So,
You can always order the Kindle.
right. But your event on Saturday
Yes.
runs from 10 till, or is it just
I'm
going
gonna
to
be
go
there.
on until
It'll
you're done?
just go on.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. A virtual event that'll
That's
go
right.
into infinitum. So,
That's
yes.
right. We're
Cool.
going to be downtown, checking in on our devices, on our iPhones and iPads, and
Okay.
it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it sounds great. It really does. So, one of the websites I was talking about earlier that I wanted to get to before the break here, too, iCarryAlls.com. Jim and I have had the pleasure of seeing some of their cases before, and they have a new line of cases that they had brought to my attention. They do these unbelievable cases for iPads and for tablets, whatever. iCarryAlls.com. They customize And I love the case that I have. Unfortunately, I should have brought it along today, I guess. But yes, they will make them for your iPad, your iPhone, your Samsung Droids. Everybody's looking at their stuff. So if you want a cool leather case, they have great pockets in them, and they're sleek in design.
Nice.
Absolutely love it. And again, they will customize them for you too. So you could actually have your own Josie Blaine case.
Pretty sure I need that.
I think you do. Yes. Yeah.
I'd buy one.
A Josie Blaine case?
Yeah.
See?
So you got two. See, you could be selling books and cases now.
Gosh,
amazing.
that's a good idea.
Yes, there you go. Value added. Got to value add all the time. So yeah, check out icarryalls.com. The other site that I think is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time, only because I'm a geek, but geekyget.com. And if you are into sci-fi, if you like geeky items, and when I say geeky items, I'm talking about things you can plug into your USB port and shoot cannons, and they have all kinds of crazy stuff on there. But geekyget.com, and I'm hoping that I'm trying to get somebody from their website to join us next week, so hopefully that will happen. But go check it out, geekyget.com.
Nice.
So yeah. Any last things that you want to bring up about your virtual, since you have to leave shortly?
Can you post that link on my page?
Yes, I will do that. I will post
All
links
right.
to everywhere. In fact, Jim, can you do that as well on here?
Yes, it'll
Okay.
be on the website. It'll be on the station site.
Okay. Great.
Okay, thank you so much
you
for
bet.
having me
You
and
bet.
for helping with this whole process.
Absolutely. Now you have to stay till the break, though, because we don't want
yeah.
other things coming in. Yeah, as my phone's going off in the background here too. So anyway, Jim, any news from the Tech Geezer at all?
Any news from the Tech Geezer? He's a little under the weather, I think.
Oh no,
He's dealing with this hot weather. It binds him up.
Like I said, no allowance to be complaining about the heat because, in 2 weeks, we're going to have 30 below.
That's true.
I won't have
quite
it.
that
I
bad.
will not have it.
I vastly prefer the heat to the cold.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank
you don't have to shovel this stuff or any of
That's
that
right.
stuff that goes along. Yeah.
It's going to be another hot one today, ladies. Wear something flimsy.
Yes. Wow. Have we talked about the new Google car?
The Google car.
Yes. Have you seen this thing?
No.
Is it here?
I'm actually working on having one come here. I
Is
love
that
name,
what's been
Paul.
following me around?
Yes, that's it. But this thing
Oh, no, that
actually,
was me. I'm stalking you.
Stop it!
this thing has no steering wheel, no accelerator. You hop in it. It looks like a little bug, VW bug kind of
sounds
shop.
dangerous.
So you hop in this thing and you say, "I want to go to wherever," and it just drives you there.
How's it know?
It knows. It's Google.
Is it Facebook?
It's Google. Google knows.
All right.
Isn't that how that works?
I'm a little worried that Facebook knows everything, too.
They use their GPS technology and sensors in there to make this happen. They've been testing autonomous vehicles for a while, but now they are actually producing 100 of these to test in the LA area. So if you ever get down to LA and you see this car driving around that people aren't driving, that's what's going on.
Well,
So-
that's L.A. for you, right?
Yeah, there you go. Nobody's
Nobody's-
even going to notice there, are they?
Nobody's really driving in L.A.
That's too funny.
Only a nobody walks in L.A. Missing
right.
persons.
Right.
So
also,
how-
I don't drive in Dallas. I have people that pick me up when I go
Gotcha.
to Dallas.
So how would you feel about jumping into a car that has no driver and you just say, "Hey, I want to go to Starbucks," and it takes you there?
I have people who pick me up.
Okay, so you're one of those people that would really have a hard time adapting to that technology. I'm just
Don't
asking.
act like I'm the tech geezer.
No.
Uh-uh.
I'm curious because there's a lot of movement towards autonomous vehicles, and one of the big things about it is safety. You take the human element out of it, and cars become dramatically safer.
Marlo, have you seen iRobot?
Yes,
Okay.
just watched it last night actually.
I read the book.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
see, he read the book.
Asimov.
See, I love autonomous
He's the man.
vehicles, and I think they're very, very fascinating. I think they're going to change how we drive in the future. But how about you, Jim? I mean, would you jump into a car right now that would drive itself?
Right now, I don't know. It would take some getting used to.
Okay,
Of course,
so-
I'm the guy who refused to touch a microwave oven for years.
Oh, yeah. Have you driven in the patch?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
It's not that I don't trust my own driving, it's everybody else out there.
And
Yeah.
I understand that, but you would be amazed the technology that's out there right now. I mean, there are cars that literally drive themselves. There are no regulations or very few regulations that allow this to happen. But I've been in autonomous vehicles, and I've been through Las Vegas in one, and they drive by themselves. They make lane changes.
And he lived.
And I lived.
In
I am
Vegas.
here to talk about it. Probably the most unusual thing about it is that people aren't used to seeing a car with no driver, because I was sitting in the back seat. BMW actually had to put a mannequin. Got to clarify that, Jim.
They put a dummy in the car, and Marlo was in the car.
Yes, with a
the
chauffeur's
geezer.
hat on it. There you go. The geezer would be
I resemble that remark.
But there'll be all kinds of drones. I mean, those are all autonomous vehicles as well. So yeah.
I can't wait to see New York's taxi system consisting of nothing but robot cars.
That's interesting you brought that up.
Have you ever taken a cab ride in Manhattan? I have.
I would probably prefer the autonomous vehicle there. That's interesting. I never thought about industries that might be affected by this, but taxi cab drivers could actually be affected.
Yeah.
Because you'll just take a taxi and you
Put
just
all
tell
those
where to
poor
go.
guys out of work.
And even car, like right now there are, the largest cities have bike sharing programs.
Yeah.
If it's a yellow bike and you pick it up and you drive it to wherever and put it in the thing. That would be possible with autonomous vehicles too. You could just jump into the yellow car and say, for $10 or whatever, it'll take you to where you want to go in town.
And then what? And then what does that do to our national fitness? What does that do to the jobs? What does that do to
but then
our accident rates? And
but the
highway
accidents
death
rate go
rates?
down, so that's a good thing.
You think?
Google has, well, sure it is. Google has almost 1 million miles on it on a couple of vehicles, no accidents. In fact, the only accident that it's had is when somebody actually drove it and drove into another car. So
That's
yeah. So you take the human. So the death rates will go down, the accidents will go down. But yes, there are changes coming as far as the industry goes. Because if there are fewer accidents, does that mean that there are fewer collision repair places? But then those people who work in those type of industries already know a lot about cars, and they'll probably go to work for companies who develop autonomous vehicles instead. So I think there'll be a little bit of a shift of type of jobs, but I don't think that we're replacing jobs with technology. So just my 2 cents. Yes.
interesting.
Any more words of wisdom there, Jim, about this?
No, I'm just mulling it over.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about taking it's been years since I've done it because I'm an East Coast guy.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking of some of those towns, New York especially, taking a cab ride. And, you've got several millimeters of space between you and the car next to you.
Right.
Right?
And those guys are just amazing who do that. I'm trying to imagine doing it with no driver. That would be, it's scary now as it is.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, take the train.
But that's the whole point. You've taken passenger trains and there's been nobody driving them.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
I think it's safer. I like train tracks.
Wow. All right, everybody. After the break, we will continue our discussion here. Hopefully, I haven't heard yet, but hopefully Ken Sanders will be joining us too. So come on back.
Right Now 84. Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we will be moving to the latest in tech news as on thevoltreport.com.
The
Again,
latest and the greatest.
that's right. Josie Blaine. She's great having on the show, huh?
Oh, God, she's wonderful.
She's just a little fireball, that is for sure. So
She is a... I got to be careful. I know we know she's listening. She'll come back here and punch my lights out.
Well, Josie, you have a great virtual book tour or a
Yes.
book opening on Saturday. We wish you all the best with that. So, Ken Sanders, I'm not sure if he's not with us yet. So we're just going to talk about stuff. How's that sound, Jim? All right.
Moon landing.
Yeah, that's right.
The anniversary of the moon landing.
Yeah. So did you do you remember watching that?
Yes, I do. I was 13 years old.
Okay.
It was the summer between 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
And a couple things happened that particular summer. Woodstock happened that summer. No, I was not there. So there was Woodstock. There was, and the Kennedy thing.
Yes. So
where Teddy drove off the bridge.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of I was a little bit younger than you.
Yeah.
But
you were a lot younger than me.
No, not a lot younger, but I was in school, barely.
Mm-hmm.
And up in Minot, And Minot, for those again listening across the country around the world, is about 2 hours north of Bismarck.
Yeah.
And that was the year. That was '69, and that was the big.
Summer of '69.
That was the big flood in Minot.
Oh, my.
So now you go back a couple of years ago. Of course, that was an even bigger flood, but everybody compares it to the '69 flood. So our school that I went to became an emergency housing shelter for everybody that was displaced for the flood, and so we went to school over the summer. And so I was in school, and I of all the things that I remember in first grade, I guess, that is the thing. I remember
watching the moon landing.
Oh yeah, and we watched it on TV, in our classroom.
Well, we all know what Neil said when he stepped on the moon. Do you remember what Buzz Aldrin said? Do you remember his first two words?
I should know
the
this.
second man on the moon, his first two words.
Yeah, I know
He
you're
looked around, he said, magnificent desolation. What a great description.
Yeah. And everybody remembers, of course, what Neil said. So.
Remember a couple of years ago when Buzz punched out that guy, that conspiracy nut who was telling him that the moon landing never happened?
Well, yeah, and of course that comes and goes over the years.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think it was filmed. The conspiracy nuts think that it was filmed in Nevada someplace, right?
My
or
favorite
Utah.
theory, somebody's claiming now that Stanley Kubrick actually, it was a movie made by Stanley Kubrick. He had just made 2001. So I guess he had all the scenery sitting around there. I'm serious.
Wow.
There's people who actually believe this joke.
Yes, yeah. Well, I had my April, not to get so far off subject, but I had an April Fool's joke on National Day calendar on, of course, April Fool's Day, that Congress was considering adding 15 days to the calendar. And and the reason they were thinking about it is that because the extra 15 days would bring in more tax revenue, that it would reduce the deficit by 4%. I had this whole story built on this thing, right? I think I even quoted you in the story, Jim. So anyway, I'll have to pull that out for you sometime. But anyway, I had a poll about are you in favor or against this? 10%, and I'm not, I just looked this up last night. 10% said they were in favor of adding 15 days to the calendar, even though it took away an hour of time every day.
Days,
yeah, I guess that would be true. Yeah,
if they were sunny days,
if they were Saturdays, yeah, but yeah.
How about an extra month of Sundays?
That would be okay, wouldn't it? So anyway, that was so people. There's always somebody that will believe something. I mean, you can always convince people of something.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, there's on the Volt Report. He's got we were talking about cars earlier. He's got a couple cars. The Hurricane. Are you familiar with the Hurricane?
Hurricane.
Yeah, it looks like, I'll turn the screen around here.
Sounds Japanese.
It is. This little guy right here, right? The car folds up. So it
looks like a pod.
It's kind of a pod. But yeah, it actually folds up. So the back two wheels actually fold under the front two wheels. So for parking, I mean, it doesn't take much more than basically a bicycle by the time you're done with this thing. So, of course, space is at a premium in many of these smaller nations.
What's that sticking? Is that like an arm sticking out the top there?
That's actually the door. So you actually the windshield becomes your door. So you step in through there, and that's how that works. Yeah,
I see. It's like a little Jetsons car.
It does actually look like a little Jetson car. It'll be interesting to see what kind of mileage they get with that thing.
Imagine a smaller version of that little thing that George Jetson had at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
Every show.
Yep, and then just throw four wheels on it, and you got this thing. So yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. So the car on top here,
that kind of looks like a DeLorean.
I'm thinking maybe they modeled it against or with that, but it's an electric car charged with. They're using supercapacitors.
Supercar.
And they are using salt water to power it.
Salt water.
Why
salt water?
I'm not really sure. I mean, they talk about the hydrogen that you can pull out of water. Yeah. I would imagine maybe there's
I've heard of seawater being used as fuel.
Right. So
theoretically.
So maybe there's some type of electrolyte or something in the salt that allows that electrification process to do better.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure.
The positive goes to the negative or whatever.
Yep. But yeah, they just fill the tank with salt water and they drive it. So how cool is that?
Hey, go to the beach, you'd be set.
Isn't that something? Yeah. You think about the alternative fuels that are out there, and there's a lot of them, and there's always new ones being developed or whatever. Gasoline, diesel, they're going to be around for a while yet, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of conspiracy theories, I mean, we'll probably all have, big gas, big cars, companies, whatever, are all vested into this. But I always have felt that if the money especially for manufacturers of cars, if the money is where, for example, a car that runs on salt water, they'll care less about gasoline-powered engines in the future because they're in the process of, they build cars. That's where they make their money. So they'll go wherever the fuel takes them, I think, However, oil companies, of course, probably aren't excited to hear about alternative
Our friends in
fuels.
Saudi Arabia probably are not too enamored of it.
Well, yeah, and I guess that would be okay. The robotic exoskeleton, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see the picture of it here, Jim, but it's for paraplegics. It's been approved by the FDA, and basically it's an exoskeleton, which means it fits on the outside of the body, and it's robotic. So if you're unable to walk, this will actually allow you to walk.
I saw that in a comic book, believe it or not.
Really?
It was one of those Batman stories where it had the Batman of the future when Bruce Wayne was really old, and of course his body was all beaten up from the Joker and all that, and he had one of those exoskeletons that helped him walk around.
Well,
which made him look even freakier than normal.
We need to do a show again. We haven't done this for a while about the inventions that have happened because of Hollywood, or comic books or what have you. We talk a lot about Star Trek and that type of thing, but there are, Iron Man. I guess the Iron Man suit is being developed for military applications now. Now, I don't know. I'm guessing it doesn't fly around.
No, probably not. Not yet.
But you think about just the armor alone. If you're in a war type of situation, how advantageous that would be. So.
Well, my favorite story is about the space shuttle when the space program was winding down during the Nixon years after the moon landings.
Okay.
And Nixon said, okay, we'll keep one part of it going. What should we do? What is, and he probably says something to this effect, what's one sexy aspect of it that we can keep going that'll keep people interested and exciting? And somebody said, well, I just saw this movie called 2001, and it had this space shuttle thing where it would shuttle people from the Earth to the moon and back, or to a space station and back. And Nixon said, okay, we'll roll with that. And that was the original concept behind the space shuttle.
Really?
It was inspired by Kubrick in 2001.
I did not know this story.
True story.
That's very intriguing.
And, of course, Arthur C. Clarke, who wrote that story, he is generally given credit as being the theoretical inventor of the geosynchronous satellite.
Okay.
That was his concept.
Interesting.
Again, he wrote it in the story.
That is the only program, well, I shouldn't say the only one, but the one program that I wish that our government would expand on is NASA. And the reason for that, and I'm not so much concerned about space travel as I am about the inventions that come from it.
Oh, yeah.
You think about what the space program has done for this country. It's, nanotechnology, road construction. People don't think about that, but just the I forget what they're called, but the rumble strips that you see on roads came from NASA.
I had no idea.
They started using them for the space shuttle because the space shuttles couldn't see the sides of the runway, so they put these rumble strips down in case the shuttle went from side to side on the runway, right? Well, then they realized that is a safety factor, and I guess there's a 70% improvement on roads that have rumble strips.
I like it.
So anyway, absolutely amazing. So, the inventions that come from NASA, are that we use in our everyday life. We'll just have to do a show on it sometime.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So anyway, everybody, a pleasure as always. We really appreciate you joining the Tech Ranch, Jim.
Everybody go buy Josie's book.
That's right. This Saturday, hop on Facebook.com/Josie Blaine Media, and you can attend her book event virtually. So go do that. Have a great week, everybody.